I'm just trying to get my background going, but it's not working. This is really sad.
Mate, you're on. You're live. We're live.
Yeah, I know. It's fine. They expect this kind of professionalism from us. I'll sort it out. Yes, people, how are we doing? Welcome back to the Catabolic Window podcast. Enjoy the outtake at the start there. So this week we got another guest on. Jack and I have been saying we need to get some more guests and then didn't do it for a while because we're smart and organised. So a couple of weeks ago, I think I probably spoke about it on the podcast, I went to an anatomy and training day hosted by Paul Standell. We've had him on the podcast as well. Great episode. Go and listen to that one. But today we have got Harry on. He was one of the guys that was at the event with me. And I thought, yeah, this guy's not too much of a prick. He seems all right. So let's have a chat and see what his story's about. So Harry, mate, introduce yourself. Give us an idea of who you are, what you do, why you do it, all of that fun stuff.
All right. So I'm Harry Strike. I've been PT for going on 10 years now.
Not very long.
Online coach for about 3 years. So I've done a fair few hours on the gym floor. Started training when I was about 15. So I'm 30 now. So 15 years of training.
I thought you were young.
No, I don't.
For some reason.
Yeah, well, it's my lack of facial hair. I can't grow any real facial hair. So
Join the club, bro.
Yeah. But when I start smashing gear, I'm sure it'll age me terribly. Then, So when I first started training, about 2012, around about there, and then just progressed and got more and more into it, more and more infatuated with training, with progression. I competed back in 2017. No coach, nothing. Just did it myself. Got pretty peeled, to be fair, because when I'd done the show, my test levels were at like 4. So
Jesus
fairly
Christ.
shredded. And that was after like 2 weeks of eating quite a lot. So I went and got them checked, and then they said they were like 4. You probably, but this was the NHS. They were like, just leave it, it'll be fine, they'll come back. And then I went for another blood test, and they lost that one. So then I went for another one, and they said, yeah, they're around 7 now. They look like they're coming up. So hopefully they're past 10 now, because that was back in 2017. And then just carried on training and building our business. And yeah, I love what I do. I don't feel like I go to work. Just feel like I come in, wake up, do what I love doing, and then that's it.
Fair play, mate.
Oh,
I like it.
and I started training. The reason I started training is because my sternum had was poking out massively, and I had to get.
Do you want to pull Harry's page up?
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything on there.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything from when I needed it done, but on some posts you can maybe see it. But the surgeon basically said, yeah, so you need to get jacked basically and help so after the operation, you're not going to fall apart. And then I just went from there, really.
So that was actually, I didn't know that was the reason that you actually started.
Well, I think I was sort of into training, but I wasn't like totally, it wasn't all encompassing. I'd sort of gone to the gym a little bit.
There won't be anything on there, Jack.
No.
Let's go further back, or what do we reckon?
Yeah, you can maybe see it in some of my pictures. I'm quite good at hiding it because, maybe you can sort of see in between my pecs, there's a massive gap, and there's literally just so that's, and I'm not really tensing my chest there. When I tense my chest, it fully opens up, and it looks fucking mad. But yeah, but no muscle will ever grow there now because they're basically just cut away.
Oh, what here?
Yeah, so, and that's like the best it'll look. If I tensed my chest at all, it would just like totally separate.
Oh, you can even see the scar here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, man. And that was back when I was like 16.
So how long were you training for before that surgery? Because if they're saying you got to get jacked to come back from it fairly quickly.
It's really good advice from a doctor. Normally they say, yeah, don't do any weights because it's going to get you killed or some shit.
Yeah, this Greek surgeon, I remember actually where I was sat in this dude's office, and he sort of sat up in his chair and said, yeah, you need to do these, like this flying motion with dumbbells. So for months in my bedroom, I was like 15, just got these weights from Argos and just stood up doing stood up flies. So I just got jacked like side delts. I'm like, why the fuck ain't my chest growing?
That's hilarious.
Oh god, these are way back when.
Oh yeah,
oh
we're
yeah,
going all the way.
So we can see from a couple of the earlier clips there, you're obviously out of Ultraflex and you PT there, yeah?
Yes.
And how do you find that? Because I remember we spoke about this as a bit of a leading question because I sort of know the answer already, but it's interesting. Because obviously Ultraflex is a bodybuilding style gym where a lot of people there know what they're doing, have a coach, or think they know what they're doing, right?
Yeah. A lot of people think they know what they're doing. Well, so what's it like training out of like PTing out of here?
Yeah,
I'm actually quite lucky because
you're having a
I
right
PT out
spot,
of
Jack.
I know, bloody hell. We're almost at the bottom there.
I'm going for the bottom.
Oh, yeah. And this is actually my second fitness page. I did have another one, and that probably went back to
the
the
scran here
late
is
90s.
dreadful.
Yeah, I know, that's awful. Yeah.
Is that tuna, avocado, almonds, eggs, and asparagus? And
Yeah,
are those cloves of garlic?
They are cloves of garlic. I think I was watching some Eugene Tiao at the time.
Oh god.
Oh, here we go. It was here as well.
Oh yeah.
My god, mate. This is extremely keto friendly.
Even put the macros on as well. Hell yeah.
Look at this guy.
That was probably the most informative post I've ever done.
38 fats to 13 carbs. That's crazy.
Boom.
Blimey.
So carry on, Harry. What were you saying about PT at Ultraflex?
So because I PT out of York Ultraflex, there's not actually that many bodybuilders. Like it's not like Rotherham or Normanton where there's loads of bodybuilders. So I'm quite lucky in that aspect that the majority of the demographic here is more sort of gen pop, maybe edging towards that bodybuilder side a little bit. So it's not like a pure gym. But I've found it quite not easy to get clients, but I've never really had to sell myself. I've sort of just gone in with the genuine, like, I want to show you something to help you. And I'm not trying to sell myself. And I almost did that from the get-go. And I didn't even really consciously do it. I was just like, oh, this person needs help. I'm going to go and help them. But I didn't want to be all salesy. So, because I just didn't really like that. I felt like if I was trying to sell myself, I was almost like a bit of a used car salesman, like trying to sell something, and it just felt weird. So I just went in with the approach of, well, I'm just going to help people. And if they want PT, they know where I am. But I'm just going in with the genuine kind of mindset of, I can help you with your workouts and you don't have to get PT. And then 9 times out of 10, they come back to me a few months later after I've helped them 4 or 5 times, and they're like, can I get a session with you? And then it just goes from there. So in terms of actually getting clients out of Ultraflex, I haven't found it very difficult at all.
Nice. Do you think that's a product of your approach or the gym, or kind of a good combination of that?
I think a good combination of the two. I think it's, as well, there's not that many PTs here either. So we're not inundated with PTs. And I don't know if that's purely for the fact that people think it's going to be difficult to get clients. So I don't know if they kind of edge towards a more commercial gym. But yeah, because there's only about 3 PTs here, there's not loads of competition either. And because I basically live here, like it's like I'm just here from 6 a.m. until like 9 p.m. Maybe a couple of gaps in between. But because I'm here all the time, it's fairly easy. But it's probably a combination of the two, of just not trying to be that salesy type and have a genuine approach, but also kind of it's not everyone here isn't a bodybuilder.
I really, really like what you said there of I basically live here. And that's a joke that I'll make to people. Like, we're just chatting about stuff and they're like, oh, like when are you into? And I'm like, I pretty much live here. And I think a lot of people get into stuff and they expect it to be easy. They're like, yeah, I'm gonna be a PT, I'm gonna work for myself, and I'm gonna have like the ideal day that's perfect for me. It's like, okay, you can do that, but you're gonna be poor. You can have one or the other, right? Because people want the positives of being self-employed, of, you know, controlling your own hours, of working when you want to, but they also don't want the negatives of that means you're going to be working basically all the time when you start.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started, it didn't seem like a chore for me to be in the gym all the time because I just loved being in the gym.
Oh.
For once, it's not my Wi-Fi. Let's go.
Oh dear. I thought that was me gone. It's fine. I'll edit that out.
We just get to stare at Harry's handsome face now.
Bosh.
I'm trying to work out what the sign in the back of it says.
We'll ask him in a second. Ping him a message on Insta or WhatsApp or something, just in case his Wi-Fi's down.
Yeah, imagine he's just talking this whole time.
Bless him.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, God.
Hey.
Oh, okay.
Hey, there we go.
There
For
we
some
go.
reason, the Wi-Fi at work just went off.
That's good.
There we go. All right.
Well, we're back now. Don't worry. I'll edit all that out.
Do you want to say watermelon, Jack? Just so you can find it in the transcript. There you go.
Yeah. Well, you said it now, so that's fine.
That's our go-to word.
You were talking about that's our, like, if we need to edit something out, look for the word watermelon in the transcript.
Right.
Don't tell the people the secrets, Jack. They're gonna know
this
about
is
our
still going to
production
get
quality.
edited out, mate. We're still
No,
in
keep this bit in. This is funny now.
All right, fine. All right, sorry, Harry, mate. Go on, crack on with what you were saying.
So when I first started and I was living at the gym, I didn't do it because I felt like I needed to be constantly at the gym. I just did it because I loved being there. I loved the weights clanging, the heavy metal music, the people there were passionate about training. So I was like, this is great. Like, I'm just going to be here all the time. And I was working behind the desk for, say, 6 or 7 hours doing memberships and stuff. But then the other times in between clients, like, why would I want to leave? Like, Bill, this is great. I can just chill out, train, talk to people, and then it just kind of grew from there, really.
Nice.
I think that's something that's not appreciated enough with, like, being an in-person PT, especially, is you need to be a sociable person. Like, I'm sure you guys have come across the PTs. Look at me. Fuck me, they are shit. But they've got loads of clients because they speak to everyone. And like they know enough to sort of get people some result, and people keep coming back because they have good conversations with them. Whereas, like, you can, if you're a boring cunt and nobody wants to spend an hour of their life with you, they're not going to stay for very long. I think some people can resent that because they're thinking, I'm fucking good at my job. I should have loads of clients. Yeah, but you're dull. And being interesting and people wanting to spend time with you is also a huge part of the job.
Definitely. I think
100%.
being able to have conversations on the gym floor and kind of, like, combining what both of you said there, like, you need to be spending a decent amount of time in the gym, even especially as you start off as a PT between clients, and be willing to talk to people and be to some extent switched on, as it were, throughout hours and hours and hours of your day, so that if someone walks by or you see anything, you feel comfortable going up and approaching them. And I think the people that can do that are good for PT. Whereas I think a lot of people get into PT or coaching because they're like, well, I like my training and I want to do a job where I can do my training. And it's like, that's not really what that is, because you're kind of, that your job is to train other people and interact with other people, and not just like, you're not just going to jump onto a leg press and just start like doing a set of leg press. That's not really what a PT does,
And I think it's when you're passionate about it, it doesn't seem, you can talk for hours to people about it, because it's not like you're going in the gym and you're trying to talk to them about something that you're pretty you're pretty uninterested in. If you can go in and you're talking to them about what you're really passionate about, so it shouldn't feel that difficult, and it shouldn't feel that disingenuous. If that's really what you're passionate about, then it shouldn't really be that difficult to, they're obviously slightly interested in it because they're in the gym. They're probably not as into it as you are, but if they can almost feel that passion in your voice and that interest, then you can almost spark a bit more interest in them.
I think a pretty good metric of being a good coach, and it's not going to happen to everybody, it's like, how many people as well do you inspire to become a PT or become a coach after working with you for months and years? Like, they think, actually, you know what, this is something pretty cool that I might want to do.
Well, I
think as well. Sorry, go on. I was just going to say, back to Luke's point of thinking that when you're self-employed, it's going to be plain sailing and you can have loads of time off. I sort of fell into that trap a little bit when I first started. I was thinking, this is mint. I can take holidays whenever I like, and I can, I don't have to ask to do anything if I want time off. But now I take like no time off at all, because one, it doesn't really feel like a job, but also at the same time, if you take time off, like, it's like, well, you're not getting any sick pay or holiday pay or anything like that. So your clients are your employer essentially. So it's not like it's just, you can just roam around willy-nilly and just, money just appears in your bank account. It's like your employer is your clients essentially.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you want to get to the point where you can work when you want, you're going to have to work when you need to rather than when you want to. But I think also, if you get to that point where you can start to kind of cool off and chill out a little bit, a lot of people by that time, either you've completely given up or you're so in love with it that you kind of struggle to slow down. But I think the people who are successful in like self-employment are the ones who, to the external, people are like, oh my God, you work all the time. And they're like, well, kind of like you said, Harry, like, well, I don't really feel like I work all the time, or I work exactly as much as I want to. And that just happens to be, 10, 12-hour days, most days of the week, potentially more, depending on the person, what they're doing. Like, I had this conversation recently with a friend where they were like, you do a lot of work. And I was like, well, I work exactly how much I want to. In fact, I kind of like to do a little bit more. But I think you have to be in a sphere that you enjoy. Like, I couldn't be like a self-employed accountant because I absolutely would not want to work to the same extent that I do now. But being in an industry that you care about and a job that you like, it's much, much easier to have what may seem as like a skewed work-life balance. But like you said, Harry, it doesn't really feel like work. So it just kind of feels like life.
Well, them seeing you
100%.
work a lot is a judgment of what their balance is, right? They're like, they're basically saying, I wouldn't want to work that much. I'm like, okay, that's fine. You're not the one doing the work. But equally, I know that, right, I'm fucking 23. Like, I'm more than happy to work basically all the time. I'm not going to do that when I'm 35.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a good point as well, was like, what your work-life balance looks like, or what you want, can change over time. And that's where self-employment can be great, because you can kind of aggressively pursue something and then cool off a little bit if you want to. Although very, very easy to say that at our ages, where we're like, yeah, we'll cool off later, and then it's like, probably might not be as much as we think. But yeah, I think for people who are looking to get into PT, is there any advice that you would have, or okay, no, here's an even better question. Fuck that question, that was awful. Do you think that PT is something that people inherently, because the three of us have spoken about traits or qualities or passion or things like that have inherently made it so that we match with this industry? Do you believe, Harry, that you have to be of a certain fit, or do you think that you could develop an ability and a love and a passion for it and still do just as well?
Yeah, it's a good question, because when I first started, I remember when I really wanted to be a PT, it wasn't necessarily because I did want to help other people, but I just thought I love training and I love training myself. And I watched like intense bodybuilding. I watch like Blood and Guts, Dorian Yates' Blood and Guts, and I'll be like, I could be like that with another person. You know, I could like get like some middle-aged woman under the leg
50-year-old
press
Karen and
push her
just
to like
beast her on the
absolute
leg
failure.
press.
And then over time, I kind of realized, well, just because I like training doesn't necessarily mean that I'd be a good PT. But by the time I'd figured that out, I was about 2 years into PTing people. So I was quite lucky in the fact that when I first started, I didn't really think too much into it. I just thought, this seems like it'd be a cool job, and I love training. And then it just so happened that I really liked helping people, but I didn't really know that I liked helping people before that, if that makes sense. And I'm not the most like eccentric, you know, like I'm not the most kind of talkative. I'm not going to be the life and soul of the party. I'm not a total recluse, but I wouldn't generally have thought that I would be going around the gym and talking to people before I was a PT. But that's just something that kind of came out that I didn't even really know I had, just by the nature of the job. So I think you can, I don't think it's like either, yes, you're this person and you definitely can train people, or you're this person, you definitely can't. Because I was kind of somewhere in the middle where I was like, well, when I went into it, I didn't really know what it was going to be like. And I sort of grew to really love it and really realize that, oh shit, like I really like helping people. This seems great. But I didn't really know that at the beginning.
I feel like you do kind of, to an extent, grow into the role. Like I definitely, before coaching, was a lot less interactive with people. Like I would, you know, I feel like I definitely am a bit more outgoing after kind of going into PT and coaching, and it's kind of built on those skills a little bit. So yeah, I feel like do you think, like, now, if you were looking to go into PT, if you saw the landscape of things and you heard the way people talk about it, do you still think it would be something that you would have pushed towards, or do you think it would have put you off a little bit?
It definitely would have put me off a little bit. I don't know if it would have put me off totally, because I am very passionate about training, and I don't really know if there's anything else that I would really have really loved to have done. But I definitely would have been more hesitant, because I think I sort of had a skewed view of it when I first went into it, thinking just because I like training myself, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be good as a career choice. Luckily, it was. Luckily, that happened to be, just things did, pan out okay, and it's great. But if I'd had someone in my ear saying, just because you like training doesn't mean you're going to be a good trainer, and you're not going to be really, you're not going to have all this free time, and there's going to be a lot of stress and all the rest of it, and picking up clients is going to be difficult, I would have been like, oh, like I don't really want to do that. I just like training, and I like being in the gym, but I don't want all that other stress. Luckily, I didn't have that person in my ear saying that, so it was sort of, I just went for it, and the chips fell, as they, whatever the saying is.
That can be a tough thing to navigate when you're new into coaching, because you have the desire to do the thing and you're motivated, but a lot of your clients won't be. Like, part of the reason they're hiring you is because they can't really be fucked sometimes, and they need somebody to give them a little bit of a push. And I think that's part of the reason why a lot of people will qualify. They'll be a PT for a little while and then they'll leave the industry, because there's a weird dynamic where the PT qualifications like sell you the dream of like, oh, it's going to be really fucking easy, you're going to be minted, like it's great working for yourself. And then all of the online advertisers you see are like, PT is dead, you have to be an online coach, leave the gym floor immediately. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think PT definitely gets a bad rap of being a stepping stone, or something that you would run hybrid with online, or only being or kind of being a bit of a slog. It definitely carries that unfair reputation still.
It's so underrated now. It's insane.
But I think it in a way, if you look at it like, stay with this sentence here, it makes sense that it carries that reputation, because where do most people find out about the job? Instagram. Where are people most vocal? Coaches, because coaches exist on Instagram, on online coaches, and a lot of online coaches have come from PT, and so there's a little bit of like survivorship bias of people being like, I did PT, I hated it, I got into coaching, I enjoyed it, did all right, and now I'm quite vocal on Instagram. Whereas if you go into a gym, you then have to go to a gym where there are PTs like Harry's Ultraflex, and then talk to him and be like, hey mate, how's PT? And you're like, yeah, fucking fantastic. But if you're existing in an in-person space, unless you go to that space, you're not really going to see it. So I think it makes sense that you're seeing, you know, like to talk to a coach, you only have to like pick up a phone and just be like, hey, how's it going? Whereas if you want to talk to a PT, they're typically going to have, if they're entirely in person, they're probably going to have a smaller social media following, because there's just not the need to have, you know, huge influencer base levels of popularity on Instagram. Because if everyone in America follows you, who cares if you're based out of like Hull, for example? You know, so I think it kind of makes sense that you see that narrative being pushed around online, because it's just one of those things that like, you know, that's just the people who have the biggest social media accounts. That's what they're going to say almost, you know.
I think I see that the unsuccessful quote PTs are the ones that get the allure of online, of like, oh, online's going to be so much easier. Like the clients just come flooding in. This in-person stuff sucks. When I'm like, I mean, Harry, you can probably see this as well. Like I've done both of them for almost a year now. I'm like, fucking way easier to get clients in person. You can meet somebody and like you have a 5-minute chat, help them with something, as you say, book in a consultation tomorrow, and they'll sign up. Anyone that does it online is a terrible fucking client, because you would have to be insane to follow somebody and then immediately pay them 150, 200, 250 quid. Like you would have to be fucking insane to do that. But you can just build up that rapport so much faster in person, and people are like, yeah, go on then, I'll give you some money.
Yeah. I think
100%.
It's difficult to like train people as well online. Like it is much harder. It's a real skill set to be able to like the beauty of if someone comes to you with like a particular issue, or they need a bit of a play around in the gym, like you can run through what, like 5 or 6, 7 different exercises in the span of a couple of minutes. Whereas online, if they're not giving you feedback, it can take weeks or months, or
never if they don't give you the right feedback. Like exactly. It reminds me, one of my clients, Jose, he was doing a Y raise sort of motion on the cables a while ago, and someone with zero fucking spatial awareness just like goes to walk where his arm is going, and he's a nice bloke, so he's like, right, I'm gonna move my arm out of the way, and tweaks his fucking shoulder. Ooh. So like really bad, like literally can't lift the weight of his own limb, which is not good. And what we've been doing is, okay, rested it for a couple of weeks. He was away on holiday, so that was pretty convenient. He started, when he came back, it was then, okay, can you just, in that bottom position, can you just gently push against my arm? Like a finger or two of pressure, if that makes sense. And that's all he's got. And that's like a little bit painful for him. So he ease up. And then it's like, okay, can we do that bottom quarter of a lateral? Can we bring that up to the bottom half? Okay, can we maybe get up towards the top? And then is it, you know, can we do an isometric in the middle of the range? Can I give you a bit of resistance on the way down, but you still raise your own arm? Like, you can't fucking do that online. No one's doing that. Like, it's impossible. And so it's really cool to be able to help people with that sort of stuff. I don't know, maybe I'm a nerd.
No, 100%, man. I mean, that is part of the fun of PT, is being able to kind of like run through things, and you can prove a lot more value a lot quicker, whereas online it's like a slow, steady build up of things, you know. But yeah, what do you think about online versus in person, Harry? Obviously you exist mainly in person, but you ever dabbled in online? Any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I've got about 10 11 online clients, but it is so much harder to get online clients. And like you were saying, for some reason, this in-person PT gets demonized quite a lot. You know, if you say to someone like, I'm an online coach. So like, oh wow, like, you know, that sounds fancy. It sounds like
Yeah.
cool. You know, I'm an online coach.
Prestigious.
Whereas when you say, yeah, I'm a PT, people just imagine you just stood there on your phone while someone's on the leg press and you're like, yeah, 10, 11, 12. All right, and take your money and then, yeah, on to the next. Whereas, and I don't really know why, you know, I almost feel a little bit like, not embarrassed, but I almost don't like it when people are like, oh, so what do you do? And they're like, I'm a PT. Because I already know they have that image in their head of like, so you're a bellend then. Like, no. Like, just like there's a lot of people PTs out there that, like, you know, don't really give a fuck. And maybe that's why it gets demonized. I don't know. But there's definitely kind of an allure to the online coach side of things, where you can basically, you know, like I don't know if people imagine it that if you're a PT, you have to stay in like some dingy gym all day, and if you're an online coach, you can be sat, you know, on a beach in the Seychelles, like basically partially in the ocean on your laptop, just like replying to people one-word answers, and then you have the rest of the day free. You know,
yes, bro, thicker and denser. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
Do you think part of it is
exactly.
because online is a newer thing that people aren't familiar with, whereas most people have been exposed to a shit PT? Because most PTs are shit. There's also a lot of shit online stuff, for sure.
Yeah, totally. Like when I've got online clients, they're like, they have no idea what to expect. They're like, what is online? Online coach? Like, they're just like,
so do I FaceTime you while I'm in the gym?
yeah. I've literally had clients where they're like, what? So you like, yeah, you go on like on FaceTime, you go on Zoom, and what? I need to put my phone there, and you're like shouting through the phone. Like, not exactly.
People do this in the gym? There are some people that will do that. They'll literally be like on FaceTime to their coach.
Yeah,
it's hilarious.
Yeah. There used to be a woman who used to come in here in Ultraflex and have the phone set up on the tripod with her trainer like sat on his sofa, just like saying shit to her, and it was like it was like mind-boggling. Like, and the phone was always in like a really like awful place where it was just blocking people, and like this whole tripod. And this trainer was just like ligged in his sofa, like just like telling her like, yeah, 1, 2. I was like, that guy's got like the best job in the world. Like, that's me.
Nah, mate, I'd be so bored.
Yeah, that would be boring.
So
unless he's got like a screen behind him, or he's like looking off to the
just
left.
Like, loads of clients.
Actually, just watching Netflix.
Yeah, he's catching the football on the left-hand side or something.
Yeah, I actually forgot about that. That was crazy when that was a couple of years ago now. That's the only time I've ever seen it, but I bet that happens all the time.
There are a couple of girls that did it here, and like we literally have to say to them like, you're not allowed to do this, and they just keep doing it. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, man?
What, as in like female PTs that were doing?
No. As in, they'd be like members. They'd come in and do it. They're like, you're not allowed to be on FaceTime while you're in the gym because other people are in the background. Yeah. And if you want a fucking PT, pay one of the people that works it. Unless your PT wants to pay £600 a month rent, like they're not allowed to do this.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I can't imagine why you would, if you're already booking out that hour to be there with them virtually, and you're already charging them for a service. You know, you're not far off. You might as well just go in person. I get, obviously, there can be a distance gap, but like, you know, I'm sure you can find people local to you. Well, in fact, you can find people local to you who will want you there in the session. That's called being a personal trainer. Like, it just feels like you're adding additional extra steps. And if I was going to watch someone train, I'd rather be there than still be through a phone and be like, can you kind of like, oh, fuck, how do I word this? Like, the frustration you would feel of being like, I just kind of want to grab that and push that up and like, no, don't unrack it that way, like do this. And like, if you're already committing to that time, just go to your local leisure center and just be like, look, how much is rent, you know?
The thing is as well, like you're cueing them verbally, right? You're not showing them how to do the thing. which is one of the best ways to learn, is to like actually physically see it. You've got to say, right, okay, let's do this little motion. You can kind of show them because you're standing there, but you probably just say chilling on the sofa and not really do fuck all. Whereas the best way to stop someone doing something you don't want to do, just fucking stick your hand in the way. Just say, right, stop at my hand. You don't need to like fucking hunch yourself all the way over, or whatever it may be. And then they'll stop because you're in the way. If you go, right, stop a little bit early. No, not that early. Okay, and just think about this, and they're still not doing it, and you've got to try something else. It's like fucking mad.
Yeah. I mean, we made an exercise library that I still absolutely use all the time, where we went into detail of using exercises. And even then, you know, I'll get coaches and PTs, people who hopefully should know how to move their body, who will watch that, hear me give advice, and then it still doesn't quite click. Like, you really can't take for granted the ability that you have in person to just be like, okay, and then in the next 10 seconds, I'm going to get you to move as closely as I can to perfect, or to what I need you to do perfectly, or whatever that, you know, idea of perfect is. Whereas, you know, online, it can, particularly people who are a little bit slower to pick things up, it can take weeks on weeks on weeks of like chipping away at the same movement, and that can be very frustrating for someone. So 100%. I think,
you get some videos and you're like, did you even like fucking watch the thing that I told you to do? Like, what? This is insane. What is going on here? And that's why it's really helpful when you're coaching people online to actually still see them in person. Wild.
Yeah, crazy. Harry, long term, where would you want to see your kind of your business and yourself? Do you have like a plan of like where you want to take things, or are you just kind of scaling up, doing more, charging more, and enjoying the ride?
So I am scaling up, charging more, and enjoying the ride, definitely. But that's why I sort of wanted to go online, because I sort of saw, well, you know, I'm 30 now. In 10 years, in 15 years, do I really want to be 45 and being in the gym at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., and not getting home till 9 at night when I've, you know, got kids at home, whatever, you know? So I do definitely want to. I don't know if I'll ever knock in person on the head, because I do enjoy it. And I don't know if working on a computer all the time might drive me a bit crazy, but I definitely want to scale up the online coaching, which is why I'm doing the mentor stuff with Paul. Shout out Paul stand-up. But I think online will be my main focus over the next few years. Maybe taper off the in-person, or just have blocks, you know, in the day where I'm like, right, these are my times. I'm not coming in at like 6 a.m. when I'm like 39, you know, and just be like, these are my times. If you can do those, great. And just do a few of those a day, just to kind of get out of the house. And like, because I'm passionate about it and because I like going to the gym and I'll still be there anyway, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I'll train like a few people a day, but mainly online. So that's kind of where I want it to go. I just need to actually push the online more, because, you know, there's so much more, as you know, competition when it's online coaching, as opposed to one-to-one PT, where it's like online, it's like, you've got the 2,000 online coaches. Why should they pick you? And it's like, you come into the gym and it's like, here's 3 trainers. You need to pick one.
There's no one got anything to say now. Oh, this is good.
I'm not gonna lie, my mind went blank. I was trying my hardest not to just agree and repeat back to you.
Disgusting behavior. So what's next for you now, Harry? You mentioned, I believe when we spoke before, about potentially competing again, about maybe going on gear. What are you thinking there?
Yeah, so never taken gear yet, which I'm fairly proud of. I've been tempted.
I just assumed you had, because I was like, bro's got some fucking monster legs.
So, I mean, that's actually, like, whenever anyone says, like, have you taken gear or are you on gear? Like, I'm like, no, but thank you. That's an amazing compliment. I remember I went to, a few months back, I was having some, like, weird heart palpitations. I was probably just having far too many monsters, but they wouldn't go. So I went to the doctors, and he had to ask me, like, because he was like, right, take your top off, and, you know, keep your pants on, but take your top off. And he had to basically say, like, don't take this as an offense, but are you on steroids? I was like, that's mint. Like, no, but thank you. It would have been awful if it had been like, I can tell you've never touched steroids. You're definitely natural. That would have been horrendous. So, but yes, so maybe in the next couple of years I might dabble. But I'm doing a show next year, Natty Classic show, and at the moment I'm just prepping for a photo shoot. So I'm only like a week in, 2 weeks in, so I'm not dieting just yet. But for the next 14 weeks, I'm gonna be dieting, getting shredded, and then show at some point next year. But I'll just have to see what Paul says because he coaches me as well.
So is that the
So
group
that
shoot,
is
one of the ones that Paul does?
Yeah, the end of September, and then I'm going to be doing another one with one of my mates who's also a coach, like a week later or so.
Nice one.
So yeah, it'll be like end of September, beginning of November, and then my girlfriend is doing bikini competition at the end of October, so she's on prep at the moment. So it's actually quite good. We're both dieting at the same time.
Yeah, I know what you mean. What do you think is going to be different for this shoot prep and then competing next year compared to when you competed before? It's just a big time gap, right?
Yeah, I'll actually do it correctly this time. So I was having like 20 grams of fat a day, and I felt horrendous. It was awful. I had no sex drive whatsoever for the last like month or 2 months of my diet. I did like a 4-month diet. So the first month it was fairly easy. I was like, this is pretty easy. Like I'll go and do my cardio in the morning, go to work. I was working at Urban Outfitters at the time. And then
so you were if that was would you have been PTing by then as well, or you were doing both?
Yeah, I was PTing at the same time, but just like part-time, and then Urban Outfitters in the day.
Right, okay.
And then I'd go and do my hour on the Stairmaster in the morning, then go to work and then go and train. But so back in like 2017, like I didn't really know to get a coach. Like it wasn't like, even YouTube, like fitness YouTube stuff. Like there was like Christian Guzman, Rob Lipsett, like Mike Thurston, but there wasn't like it is now where it's like, right, this is, I remember back then I used to watch some Mike Israel back then, and he actually had hair. Like that's how long ago it was. Like I used to kind of take little tidbits from that, but it wasn't anything like, right, this is how you prep and follow these steps. I remember I learned my posing from a Ryan Terry, like men's, bodybuilding.com video or something. I just replicated that. So yeah, I'll just do that. And to be fair, like I did all right. I came third. So like, and I had no idea how to peak, nothing. I was like, well, so I was flat as hell on the day. Had a Reese's peanut buttercup bar, and that was my carb up. And then, so this time what'll be different is I'll actually know what
making up for all those grams of fat that you didn't eat during the prep.
I'll basically know what I'm doing. Yeah, 20 grams a day, man. That was brutal. That's
fucked.
And I wonder why I felt so shit the entire time. Like I couldn't just like anyone does at the end of prep. But it's hopefully I'll feel better this time because I won't be like absolutely killing myself.
You'll still feel shit at the end, but
I'll still feel shit.
You'll look way better. So it's like,
Yeah.
Makes it
I wonder. And I don't actually know what my test levels actually got down to at their lowest, because when they were like 4, that was after a couple of weeks of eating loads of food.
Oh no.
So I don't know what they were at the lowest, but yeah, they were low. Yeah.
Yeah, something I'm trying to remind myself as I'm going through this prep and it's getting tougher is like, okay, I chose to do this for all of the positives of looking leaner, of getting on stage, of it may be helping things business-wise. So I've made that decision. I also need to embrace the negative aspects of that. If I'm going to feel tired, of like, I'm going to be on the stairs and be like, I've got another 20 minutes to go here. But I can stop at any point if I really want to. Like, it's not like fucking somebody's fault for me to do it. It's entirely my decision. and then just trying to not ruminate on the negative aspects of that. Because if you're sitting there saying, I'm hungry, it sucks, got no energy, I'm going to regress, like, of course it's going to be fucking wank.
Yeah.
Of course it's going to be shit if all you're thinking about is the shit things.
Yeah, I remember, I don't know why this just popped into my head, but I remember Kevin Levrone said that when he was prepping, I don't know why, and I don't know if this is true. I don't know if he was just sort of trying to make it sound more brutal, but he said he used to just sleep on the floor. He wouldn't even sleep in his bed. I'm like, what's the point of that? Like,
that's jokes.
Just like, you're just sleeping next to your bed, just on the floor. Like, now I'm dieting, I can't get into bed.
People love to wear it as like a badge of honor of like how difficult the prep was. You know, like it's a very interesting mindset that people get themselves into, rather than like, doesn't matter where you place on the day, as long as you have the toughest prep, you're all good. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't matter if you look shit as long as you work the hardest.
Yeah, I worked hard to lose tissue throughout the prep. Come on now. But I mean, Kevin Levrone can get away with doing something else.
That's true. He's freaky as fuck. He does a great Ronnie Coleman impression as well. I don't know if you've seen that. But going back to, so you were PT in part-time, you say, and you were at Urban Outfitters, right?
Yeah.
When did you know it was time to make the jump and go full-time into PT?
Well, I didn't go full-time into PT straight away. I quit Urban Outfitters and then started working behind the desk at the gym that I was already PTing out of it. So then I had a solid, like, what would it have been, like 6 or 8 hour shift. And then I'd just PT either before, because you'd either do like the evening shift or the morning.
Right.
So I'd either PT before or after. And then it wasn't until I started training at Ultraflex that I went full-time PT. But I probably did it in the worst possible time, because when I started at Ultraflex, so I was PT and I was working behind the desk, and then we went into lockdown at some point.
Nice.
And I was like, so I was on a bit of furlough for the first lockdown. And then when we came out of the first lockdown, because everyone had eaten shit, I just got this like influx of clients. So I was like, this is mint, like this is class. So I'd got all these clients, and then I went full-time PT. I was like, this is awesome. We're not going to go into another lockdown. And then lo and behold, went into another lockdown, no furlough pay. And I was like, oh, fuck, like, this isn't ideal. So my job is in the gym, and the gym is not open. So that was pretty brutal, because I was trying, but at that point I didn't do any online coaching. It was purely in person. And so I was like, right, okay, I'll try and like train people through Zoom when they're in the lounge. And it's like, do you have any equipment? No. Okay, well, let's just do like these like 5 exercises.
New press ups and pull-ups
every day. Yeah, exactly. So I went full-time PT at like possibly the worst ever time, but then luckily like I just managed to like get through that lockdown, and then when we came out, I got again another influx of clients, and then it just sort of built from there. So luckily, but it could have gone the other way. It could have gone like you know, I go full-time, they don't take me back after lockdown, and it's like, great, I'll like, you know, I guess this is it then. But
lockdowns aside, it's a pretty smart bridge between the two. Of right, okay, I'm gonna quit my retail job and do something where I'm working at the gym more. I'm there for more hours. I meet more people, and then sort of gradually swap over, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it just seemed like I just presumed that's what most people did. I didn't even. I can't remember it being a conscious thought of I'm not gonna go full-time PT. I'm gonna like edge my way in. I just thought that was the way to do it, and it just worked out all right for me, because then I was there and I could just meet people in the day, and then they're like, you know, then they're like, oh, are there any PTs here? And I'm like, yes, just me. I'm the only PT.
Brilliant. Love it. Love it. I think the only thing we haven't touched on is how your week's been, which is a bit late in the podcast to do it, but anything interesting going on for you outside of just working and the stuff that we spoke about? Jack, are you vaping?
A little bit.
That's disgusting.
My energy is low. My energy is low. Sorry, Harry, your week. Go on before Luke really.
My week. Well, I, as well as PT, I've sort of part-time managed some student properties as well for one of my clients. So in between training them, because it's getting to the point now where all the students are swapping over, I'm like, train some clients, run over to a student property, check that they're not growing loads of weed in a property, come back, train some clients. Like, it's a crazy few weeks this week. So it's
how come they
kind of go. But because I was training him. He's a landlord, and then I went over a couple of years ago. I went traveling around Australia for like 6 months. Came back, and I was just trying to build up my client base again. And he said, you can train me, but do you know any gardeners? And because I was trying to build up my client base again, I said, well, no, but what do you need doing? I'll give it a go. I know how to cut a hedge. I don't know. And then so he sent me to this property. He was like, here's the tools, do this. And he was like impressed with the job that I did. It wasn't anything special. I'm not like, Alan Titchmarsh. And then he was like, that looks mint. Like, I've got these other 5 properties and you can do mine as well. And it's not, and so it started off as just like, sort the garden, make sure it doesn't look like a total shithole. And then he was like, right, this fridge needs installing, this sofa needs destroying, and like give me like a chainsaw, like this needs doing, this needs doing. So like every few weeks he's like, just go to these properties, just tell them I've sent you, and just sort this. And the majority of the time I just wing it. And then he'll just give me like a hammer and he's like, this table needs destroying. I'm like, this is mint. So I just do that I just intersperse that with clients.
Right. To be fair, when I moved out recently, I had to break up a sofa, and that was quite fun. I had a pickaxe, that was a lot of fun to swing that at a sofa. So yeah, breaking furniture, recommend it for anyone listening. It is a good time.
Bro, a pickaxe
actually tried that.
Mate, breaking up a sofa is so difficult. It's like I've done it with a hammer and a saw and then a chainsaw, and it's just like you don't realize how thick it is.
Yep. I use the back end of the pickaxe because it's like the front's too pointy, the back end's kind of like this flat blade. And I'd have to stand sort of side on and literally just like break it a plank of wood at a time.
Yeah.
Unscrew bits that were screwed together, and then you can kind of wedge it in because there's a few bits of wood that are like glued together. You wedge it in the gap, and you can sort of leverage them apart. It took ages, took hours, but it was a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. Anyone needs the sofa broken, get a pickaxe.
Did you just say it took hours?
Yeah, a long time. But there were some good bits.
Right, boys, my laptop is about to die. Should we wrap up there?
All right, we'll wrap things up there. My energy died. Apologies, guys. Fucking 15 weeks out and already in the trenches. So, Harry, mate, where can everyone find you? Where can they access you? Promote yourself. Go absolutely nuts.
Mm-hmm. So Instagram, strikefitness_PT.
Yep.
And that is it so far because I am shite at social media. But I'll be doing YouTube, so look out for that in the next 5-10 years.
So the links for Harry will be down below. Harry, mate, when you get the YouTube up, if you send us the link for that, we can chuck that in the description below as well. But yeah, we'll have a link to Harry's Instagram. It'll be the top link in the description on Spotify and on YouTube. We've been joined by Luke. Luke's not taking on any clients because I've said so. No, I'm kidding. He's LacticAddictLuke on Instagram, offers PT as well. And then I'm Jack Archer Academy. Harry, mate, thank you for your time. Really, really appreciate it. If you do get into a bit of the depths of prep, could be a laugh to bring you on, maybe you and the missus as well, and talk about that.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Absolutely, mate.
But yeah, appreciate your time, man. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers,
Thank you for having me.
Good to
All
see
right,
you again.
cheers everyone for listening.
Cheers.
Bye.